Metal Jesus here, and I am back again with Kelsey. How's it going?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. You brought a bunch of DSs here.
I did.
You went crazy.
A lot.
It's like a rainbow.
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about the DS. We're doing a DS buying guide covering all of the systems from the original DS to the DS Lite, DSi, and DSi XL, as well as accessories and some of the games we think you should own. There's a lot.
Yes, there is. This is going to be pretty cool. Let's take a look. Brought a bunch of stuff here. Actually, why do you have so many systems?
Because these videos give me an excuse to go crazy. Is that a good answer?
You messaged me, I'm going to tell on you. So you messaged me, what, like a month ago or a couple weeks ago, and you went crazy buying Japanese DSs.
Yeah, so I buy a lot of stuff in bulk lots from Japan because you can get them really cheap that way. So I ended up buying like over 50 DSs.
50.
Now I'm definitely not going to keep all of them, but it was cool because now I can show off a bunch of different colors.
I know. That's what's so cool about this video is that we're going to show you stuff that I mean, in colors I've never seen. So this is really cool.
Awesome.
All right.
So we're going to start with the original DS. This one came out in 2004.
The fat.
Yes, the fat DS. And it's actually pretty different than the one they showed off at E3.
Oh, really?
Which was just a few months before its release, which is really surprising. But they changed a little bit about it. It's cool. The DS in DS stands for dual screen.
Right.
And also developer system. They say that is canon. Whatever.
And from what I've read is that Nintendo at the time thought of this as sort of like another pillar of their income. And so it really was meant to go alongside of the original Game Boy Advance.
Yes.
And so
they thought that they were like, well, look, we could give you better specs, whatever, but what we really want to do is change the whole way you think of handhelds. And they definitely did that with this. It has a lot of features that were brand new. You know, it's nothing any Game Boy or any system had. First of all, 2 screens was brand new, unless you count the Game & Watch. Yeah. The touch screen has a microphone, had wireless capabilities, all kinds of really cool things. One of my favorite parts about it is the download and play feature. So there were some games where only one of your friends needs a cartridge and you guys could still play the game together as long as you were close in proximity. And then there's also PictoChat, which I used to use all the time with my friends. It's just like a little chat room that 16 people can be in at once.
That's what you and I were playing?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So that's something I used to do like when I was on the school bus in high school and stuff, play with my friends all across the bus. You
know what's really cool about it, from my opinion, is that it doesn't require Wi-Fi. Like it's its own network, which is like, it's amazing. You can play that on the bus as a kid and you don't have to connect to some sort of cellular network or anything. That's
you can just
pretty cool.
Hang out with the people around you. So it's kind of, I mean, I guess they sort of did that with the link cable, but just, you know, this is the less messy version of that.
I had the original in gray, I believe. And it wasn't, when I first got it, I was like, dual screen. I can only look at one at a time. Like, what's the point of this?
Impressed.
I wasn't impressed, but I loved how creative they were with it. Also, too, from my opinion, the graphics were kind of around that N64 quality, but yet the screen's smaller, so you actually it looks decent.
Pretty good, yeah. And that was actually one of the things they first advertised as being part of it. They're like, look, you know, we make really great games on the Game Boy Advance, but this will give you the option to do both 2D or 3D. Yeah. And that was why they showed off Super Mario 64 as one of their first. That was like the first title they showed off on this thing.
Huh.
So that's kind of cool.
Cool.
Then they released the DS Lite, which is actually my favorite looking of the DSs.
Do they all have the dual screen thing on the top?
Yeah, it's like a little embossed dual screen logo on all of these. There's tons more colors than this. I have the Susan G. Komen breast cancer awareness one, which is a super exciting limited edition. And this one really didn't change a whole lot from the original DS. Oh, and the biggest thing we should mention, of course, is that these play Game Boy Advance games. Yeah. The original DS and the DS Lite play Game Boy Advance games. They don't play Game Boy Color. They don't play original Game Boy. Just Game Boy Advance.
And I did a ton of this at the time. You know, I love how Nintendo typically does that, where here's a new system, but there's thousands of games you could potentially play on it, and I did too. I loved it for that.
Yeah, you don't have to give up your old
Yep.
systems, your old games. You can still move them on to the new generation, which is really cool.
So the Lite still supported that.
Yes, the original DS and the DS Lite still supported Game Boy Advance. The only problem with that is, unfortunately, there was no way to do the multiplayer on those.
Oh, okay.
Which is frustrating, but
Sure. Huh.
get a Game Boy Advance, I guess. Then we move on to the DSi, which I have. This
your
came
rainbow.
in so many freaking colors,
I know.
and Japan got some really cool special editions too, like this Saga 20th anniversary
That's really
one.
cool.
They also had this Mario one. We got one similar, but it was an XL. So the DSi added a lot of things, but it also took some away. So this can't play Game Boy Advance games. It's only DS, which makes it kind of less desirable for most people.
But at this time, though, this was a success.
Oh, totally.
So at this point, Nintendo's probably like, hey, like to your point, you either get a Game Boy Advance or you buy this, and
Right.
you're set.
And this is cool. It adds 2 cameras. There's one on the outside that you can see, and then there's also one on the inside. There's also some like voice recording software.
What you want?
Best thing, of course, is that you can connect this to the internet, and this was their first kind of like eShop thing. And then they moved on to the DSi XL, which is just an enormous version of the DSi.
And there's no other differences. I mean, probably maybe a little better battery life or something. Or
Most of these have at least 8 hours of battery at a full charge. The DS Lite and the DSi introduced screen brightness adjusting.
Okay.
So you can make them last a little bit longer, which is nice. On the lower settings, you could play this for like 16 hours, which is awesome. That's pretty long charge for a handheld. And one of the cool things that they said during development of this is that they actually made their engineering team drop this from, I think they said like chest height. It had to withstand 10 falls from chest height
really,
without any considerable damage.
oh man,
That was part of their design.
that's what I love Nintendo. I mean, they think of that sort of stuff,
Yeah.
right? It's like it's awesome.
They're like, well, you're probably gonna have it in your pocket.
Yeah.
So if it falls out, we don't want you to have to return it after just one drop.
That's cool.
Which
Now-
is probably why they went with the clamshell design too.
Absolutely, and I love that design. So these are the 4 main models, but I want to mention the 3DS, and the reason for that is because I play all my DS games on my 3DS, and it plays them fairly well.
Yeah.
You know.
So the 3DSs do play regular DS games.
Yeah.
Which is nice. And the other thing that I want to mention before we move on to accessories is that these are region free for DS games. Now, DSi games, there were very few, but there were like 3 or 4 games that you needed the camera function for this for, so you needed to have an actual DSi and not a DS Lite or original DS. Those are region locked. Which is really weird, but that's like 3 games and you probably don't have to worry about it. If you pick up a Japanese DSi for really cheap, still probably going to be a good deal because you're probably not going to run into that problem very
And that
much.
explains why you picked these up, because
They were dirt cheap.
they're cheap and you can play all the games.
Yeah.
So it's perfect. Huh, okay. All right, next let's check out accessories.
Okay, so the first accessory I wanted to talk about is the obvious one, which is chargers, because this is really freaking complicated.
And actually, I was confused. 'Cause when
Yeah.
you came over, you're like, do you have this particular charger? I'm like,
What's
no.
the difference?
I know.
Yeah.
So it's for me.
So for the original DS, the fat one, this one shares the same charger as the Game Boy Advance SP, which is this plug right here.
Yeah.
And after that, they stopped using it. So this works for the original DS and the SP, and that's it. The next one's even more annoying because it only works for the DS Lite. That's this plug right here. So
only the second model.
only the DS Lite. It's
Okay.
the only one that uses it, and they never used it again. It's completely proprietary Nintendo thing, not useful for anything else. And then, thankfully, they got a little bit wiser, and they got this one for the DSi, and then they continued to use it for the DSi XL, the 3DS, 3DS XL, new 3DS. Finally wised up and let us have a charger for more than one console.
And that's why I didn't realize that there was this other charger, because I didn't know.
Yep.
You know, it's always worked for me. So
3 of them. So those are the chargers. You'll definitely want to know that when you're picking up the system. The rest of the stuff is just kind of fun.
Woohoo!
So I've got the Nintendo DS browser. This was for the original DS and the DS Lite, because once you hit the DSi, it already had an internet browser you could download.
Oh, so you had to buy a browser for it originally.
Yep.
Huh.
And this comes with 2 things. It's got the cartridge, which is the browser, and then a RAM expander.
On Game Boy Advance?
Yeah. For the Game Boy Advance slot, yeah. Then my favorite accessory is the keyboard. This came with Pokemon typing, which actually didn't come out in the States. It's just Japanese and European. We talked about that in another video.
Yeah.
So this was one that the US got, that the US did not get. There's a lot of other accessories the US did not get, which are awesome. There was a digital TV tuner. There was
digital, which is cool.
Yeah.
It means you could use it today.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh.
There is a camera that came with, have you ever heard of the DS Face Trainer?
No.
Okay,
What
so
is that?
it's a Japanese game where you like do different exercises for your face to make your face like be stronger and more perky, I guess.
Okay.
It's like a beauty routine video game.
And I need
There's
that.
also there was a the pedometers came out here. There's like a personal coach and then the Pokewalker for Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which were just like little pedometers that you could have. Your Pokemon would grow while you're walking and stuff.
Huh.
So that's kind of cool.
That's pretty cool.
And then another thing that the States did not get, I don't actually have the accessory itself, but I have one of the games that goes with it. It's like a little card reader. It's kind of like an e-reader. And there were different arcade kiosks in Japan where you would get these little cards printed out when you'd play the game.
Wow.
And then you could scan them into your game. So like this one's kind of like a fashion game, and you'd go to the kiosk and get like a dress, and then you could scan the dress into the game.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And then one of the few accessories I have is this one right here. Now, I think I got this at a garage sale without the game. So
Without the game.
I wasn't sure what it was for, and so I assumed it was for the Game Boy Advance, but you're saying it's for the DS.
That's for the DS, yeah. There was actually not a Guitar Hero on Game Boy Advance, but it goes in the Game Boy Advance slot, meaning you can only use it for these 2 models. And that's another thing you sort of have to keep in mind with a lot of these accessories. Most of the ones I pointed out, you actually do need one of the older models for it, just because of the way the accessory plugs in. So like this one, you need an original DS or a DS Lite. Same with the card reader accessory for this. And of course that, and like the TV tuner and all of those things, they're all like, actually can't remember if the TV tuner does or not, but many of those things go into the Game Boy Advance slot. Which,
actually is pretty cool that it was used. I mean, often in some of these systems in the past we've covered, that sometimes these expansion slots really aren't used, but in this, it was cool.
Yeah, they had a lot of really unique stuff, and the DS was just a really ambitious system overall, but it actually did most of it very well.
Yeah, very cool. All right, well, those are some of the accessories. It had a ton of games. We should talk about games.
We have a lot of suggestions here for you. There's still a ton more, so if we didn't mention your favorite game, I apologize. It was probably on our list at some point.
Right.
But there's a lot to see here. So I guess we'll start with platformers and puzzle platformers. The DS is an awesome system for this.
Yeah.
This one right here is one of my favorites. This is the legendary Starfy, and I made you buy this. Did you play it?
I did for a while until I got busy with something else, but I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, it's really fun. It plays a lot like Kirby, and it's got really similar graphical styles to it too.
Very colorful.
So yeah, this is one of the best, in my opinion, platformers on the DS. But there's also some other really notable ones like Scribblenauts and Kirby Canvas Curse. That's a great one. Soul Bubbles, which was a Toys R Us exclusive, which is kind of odd.
Kind of a hidden gem.
Yeah.
You know, I love that game so much.
Yeah, the obvious one, of course, New Super Mario Brothers. This is like one of the best-selling games, if not the best-selling game on the console. Yep. And then more Kirby Mass Attack.
Yeah, definitely. All right, and then we're going to go over to role-playing games, and the DS was home to a ton.
Oh my god, so many.
So many great role-playing games. And again, like, which one do we pick? Do we pick the obvious ones? Do we pick this or that? And so, you know, I want to pick a game that I think that everyone should go out and just buy day one, and that is The World Ends With You. When this came out, this was such a unique role-playing game. It takes place in Tokyo right now, so it's not a medieval RPG like a lot of them.
No dragons. Swords.
And what I love about this is that they really took the time to craft an RPG that uses the DS in really interesting ways. It's all real time, but it's gesture based. So basically, like, you tap on enemies, you do swipes. Plus, it uses the second screen seem really interesting because there's 2 real-time battles going on. What else is really great about this game?
The soundtrack.
Oh, I was going to say the soundtrack. Yeah, I know. The soundtrack is this kind of like, you know, like hip-hop, kind of cool. It's awesome. So...
Yeah, this is a great one on the DS just from how unique the gameplay is. This was definitely a game where they actually were like, okay, what can we do with the DS that would make this stand out from other RPGs as opposed to like a Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest or something.
And to that point, like you couldn't do this on another sort of console with just a normal controller because of all those gestures. So it's very cool.
There's a bunch more. Of course, the Pokemon games like Pokemon Platinum, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, those are great. Chrono Trigger, this is the best way, in my opinion, to play Chrono Trigger.
I know, which is saying a lot.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Super Nintendo version is amazing, but being able to play this on a smaller screen where the graphics look really tight, you get the full motion video things that were introduced in the PlayStation 1 version. Those are some perks of owning this. I know you like this one a lot.
I love the Mario and Luigi series, and this is a really good one here as well. So they've never made a bad one, in my opinion. Yeah, so it's good.
And this actually in Japan was literally called Super Mario RPG 3.
Oh, okay.
So it is literally like, hey, this is like the Super Nintendo one. Play it. And Advance Wars, Infinite Space. Some other really cool ones
we could have gone on forever.
I know.
There's Final Fantasy on here. There's Nostalgia. Yeah, a ton of
Rhapsody.
them. Oh, yeah. That's right.
There's so many good ones. Next up, I want to talk about the action/adventure genre. The obvious choice here is Legend of Zelda, but we thought we'd do something a little bit more exciting than that. So I've got Okami Den. This one is my favorite. Did you play this one?
I did, and I think so many great things about this.
I love the original Okami, but this is, I think, better just because of the way it controls. So it's a little awkward to paint with a paintbrush when you're using a PS2 controller. Using the DS stylus made it so flawless, so easy. It's adorable. The art style is still gorgeous, just like the PlayStation 2 version.
And it's funny. It's a funny game. It's got a great heart and sense of humor.
It's got a lot of personality, I would say. And it follows just the baby of Amaterasu. So, and then of course Castlevania, there's a couple of these. I haven't played this one specifically.
It's a great game.
It's pretty good.
Oh yeah, I mean the animation's great, it plays great, it's really fun. So it's highly recommended.
The DS is also amazing for rhythm games. So the best one in my opinion is Elite Beat Agents. I'm going to say /Oendon. That was kind of like the Japanese version of Elite Beat Agents. This is a super goofy game. The soundtrack's really fun, but it's mostly cool because you see like a super goofy, over-the-top comic book kind of story unfolding in the background while you're tapping on the screen and doing a rhythm game.
I want to play this game. People talk about it all the time.
Have you not played it?
No,
oh, it's so good.
I know.
This is definitely a must pick up if you get the DS. I also really like, this of course is just a Japanese one, but Taiko no Tatsujin, which is Taiko Drum Master. This one comes with cute little like styluses that look like drumsticks.
Oh, really?
Which is cool.
That's cool.
And then Rhythm Heaven, which I think a lot of people know and love. It's kind of like WarioWare-like, where it's a bunch of little mini rhythm mini games. So this one's a lot of fun too.
All right, so next up, we're calling this shooters.
Yeah. The shoot 'em ups and or first-person shooters.
Yeah. So the first one here is Retro Game Challenge. Now this is a love letter to classic 8-bit gaming, and it's kind of collectible. This game is shot up in value. It sort of came out and people love it. It's super fun, got a great sense of humor. So. And
then Nintendo came along and did the NES remix, which is kind of the same.
I know. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my God, you guys totally did it, But some other things I want to mention here though. The DS had some really interesting first-person shooters.
Yeah, totally.
And so the first one is Moon. Also, there are a couple Dementium. Is that how you pronounce it?
I think so. I would say Dementium, but I don't know if that's right.
No, you're probably right. But
these are horror games, and they're rated M, which is crazy on the DS, which is such a family-friendly console.
You are collecting M-rated games.
I am, I think, 2 away from... There's not very many rated M games on the DS, so it's a short goal to hit, but...
That's cool. These games are pretty cool, though, to check out. And then also a couple just kind of action shooter games is Nanostray, and also, how do you say that?
Bangai-O?
Bangai-O, which was really...
I think so.
This was
it's a Dreamcast game.
Yeah, so very good version on the DS.
And then we also have racing games, there's not a ton that I would super recommend on the DS, but Mario Kart DS is like one of the best Mario Karts of all time. It is really, really good multiplayer, considering you're not like actually sitting next to each other and playing. Did you ever play this multiplayer with people?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I mean, it's fun even without people, but the nice thing about this is download and play, one of those download and play titles we were talking about.
Okay.
So you only need one copy of the cartridge, and you and a bunch of friends can play. Now they have to play as Shy Guys, which kind of sucks, but it's a lot of fun and really well put together.
I was going to say, one of the things I like about this version is that it uses the second screen really well. Like, you wouldn't think a racing game would work that well on a DS, but I love the fact you could always see the map there. You can also see where your enemies are, you know, the other players are, and also what weapons they have.
Which they sort of like squeezed onto the bottom of the screen into the corners on some of the other Mario Kart games, the maps and stuff. So it's cool that you have like an entire, you can actually glance down and see
which I do a lot,
And then I've never played this one, so
I know. Well, you had to come up with another racing game for the DS and be like, and this is my second favorite, and that is Trackmania. Trackmania is this really quick, short, some of these races are like 30 seconds long. They're usually a stunt involved. It's totally arcade. It's super fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
All right, so I also have some games that I'm just going to call casual games. I don't really know what else to call them or what category to shoehorn them into. This one maybe is like a sim game. But NintenDogs, this was a really big deal on the console.
Yeah.
This was where they were really, really trying to sell to people who normally did not play video games. So in this, you raise a virtual dog and you can dress it up and take it on walks and all kinds of stuff. Despite it being a little too cutesy for me, I still enjoyed it. I still played it and liked it, even though I was a little bit more, I was playing RPGs and racing games and shooters, and I still enjoyed this. So it's got some fun. There's also Electroplankton, which is just kind of like a cool, you sort of make music on it, but in a really weird way, because you're just kind of using these little plankton, I guess, to arrange the music, which is a really interesting way to do it, but it's cool. And then my favorite is Animal Crossing Wild World, which I spent so much time playing, probably like 500 hours or so. I mean, it's like a lot. And it was, if you played the GameCube version, this is the biggest jump in quality from an Animal Crossing game to an Animal Crossing game. This one did online really well. You could play over the internet with people in other countries. I frequently had people from the, that I met on the internet coming over to my town and interacting with my neighbors and stuff. It's a fun little sim. If you like Harvest Moon, you'll like it.
Yeah, I always hear about these games, but it's always the time that people put in that scares the hell out of me. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, it sort of becomes a chore after a while too. You're like, because it goes in real time. So you're like, oh man, I gotta water my flowers today. I'm like, talk to my neighbors. They're gonna be mad at me. Yeah, it's another job.
Very cool. All right, and then is this our last stack?
I think so.
Okay, wow, cool. So what are we calling this one here?
Puzzle, well, it sort of mixes puzzles and visual novels. Most of these are a little bit of both.
That's true. So, okay, well, we're going to start with one of my favorite games when I played this. Oh my God, Professor Layton and the Curious Village. So this is basically a puzzle game, but what's great about it, it's level 5, and they wrap around these puzzles this great story, great characters. There's actually like video in here where every once in a while I'll go to a cutscene and it tells about the story. It's just full of personality, and I love the puzzles. The puzzles are completely varied. There's math puzzles, there's sliding puzzles, there's drawing puzzles.
Sometimes I'm good at them, sometimes I have to use the hints. And
actually, I'm not embarrassed to say I do use the hints because I'm much better at some puzzles than others, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but tons of personality. Highly recommend this. And then
I love this game. This is 999 or 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors. This is like a horror puzzle game. It's kind of heavy in the visual novel part because there is a story. You will play this multiple times to get different endings and learn more about why you're there and why all these horrible things are happening. It is kind of challenging, but I definitely recommend it if you like horror games or if you like puzzle games. This one's really, really good, and there are 2 more in the series.
That's right.
You won't be satisfied with just this one.
And then to round that out, we have a couple others here. So the Phoenix Wright, you have to mention the Phoenix Wright series because it's so iconic.
And these actually came out, the first couple of these actually came out on the Game Boy Advance in Japan, which we never got. And when we got it here, they did add a few things that utilize the touchscreen, such as like dusting for fingerprints and that kind of stuff. But it really is, the first ones at least are just kind of a port of those Game Boy Advance ones translated.
And these games are huge.
Oh yeah.
So popular. Ghost Trick, this is a game really surprised me. A little bit of a hidden gem, although people are starting to know about it today, but it's a puzzle game as well. So funny. And then of course, Hotel Dusk Room 215. This is a really neat game because it uses the DS as an open book.
Yeah, this is one of the ones you can turn it sideways for, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So cool. So that's a tip of the iceberg for DS games.
We could talk forever, and one of the other things I want to sort of mention is that there were a lot of issues with this too. The DS has a lot of awesome games and is a really great system, but they did run into some issues with like piracy and also bootleg cartridges coming in from China now, like especially of the Pokemon games. There's a lot of they'll work sort of, but bootleg versions of them.
Just be aware that they're out there. Huh, that's cool. So, I don't know. How many videos could we do of this? Like 10 more?
Yeah, when you told me we were doing a DS buying guide, I was like, I hope you're ready because I will bring 200 games.
So cool. So let us know down in the comments below what games you would recommend someone get day one, because maybe there's some games in there that we don't know about we need to add to our collection.
Totally.
So where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at Kelsey. You can also follow my podcast at GameBlitz Show. We're also on YouTube and Apple, iTunes, and Google Play and all of that good stuff.
Definitely check it out. All right, guys, thanks very much for watching my channel. Thank you for subscribing, and take care. If you want to go a little bit deeper into the Nintendo DS library, I did a series of hidden gems with Kinsey, and I will link to that up in the right-hand corner. Also, if you like this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel because I release new videos twice a week on Tuesday and Friday.
What did that you fly?